Hi, women. My name's Karma, and welcome back to season 3 of the Free Birthing in Color movement. This is a space to hear the stories of women of color and Indigenous women sharing their experiences of living, working, and birthing in their power. If you feel like you have a story to share and would like to have your words and your voice amplified within this movement, please reach out to me. All information about submitting your story can be found within the show notes below or on the Free Birthing in Color Instagram page. The Instagram handle is at freebirthing_in color. Just send me a DM or find the submission forms within the profile. I look forward to hearing from you and making space for your experiences to be witnessed. And now I'm extremely grateful to have shared time and energy with our next guest. Here is her story. Hello, Claire, and welcome back to the Free Birthing in Color movement. This is the second time that I'm having you on today, and I'm very excited because the first time we spoke in this container, you were telling me about your beautiful birth stories, and now we are going to have a conversation on breastfeeding.
Yes. Hi, Karma. I'm really happy to be back. I was so excited that you asked me to come back to talk about breastfeeding because I'm like, I love talking about breastfeeding. So,
Yay!
yeah, so I'm here.
Perfect. Oh no, I'm so grateful for this because it just makes sense to have these kinds of conversations. If this is a platform about women taking their power back and birthing in the way that they're meant to, it only makes sense to then segue into feeding these new babies and feeding their children in the way that our body is physiologically designed to do, which is from the breast. So, yeah, as we were speaking before we were recording, I was saying I know basic information of breastfeeding, and you were saying you have a wealth of knowledge. So yeah, that's why I'm really excited to have you share and speak to me for my own personal education and for the women that will be listening for their personal education also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excited.
Good. So the first question before we get into breastfeeding talk, I just want to ask you quickly, what is your ancestry and lineage that you hold within your body?
So, I'm Puerto Rican,
Mm.
and I didn't say this last time, but I want to say it this time. I feel like it's Puerto Ricans normally say like where they're from, like the towns.
Mm.
And so, my my grandparents, they're from Quebradilla, Aguadilla, Trujillo Alto, and Guayanilla. Those are the parts of Puerto Rico that they're from.
Okay.
And so yeah, so that's my lineage. But I was born here in the US.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
that's so cool that you know those specific places. And I love that you've shared that because I don't think I've had, I mean, I've had women say, yeah, they're from this country and from this place, but it just
Mhm.
adds that little extra special, pardon, piece to it when you can say like, I
Yeah.
can't say the places, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm excited to be here because I know like I am very fair.
Mm,
I have a very fair complexion, but I do consider myself a woman of color, and
mm,
Puerto Ricans come in all different,
mhm.
shades and features because
Yeah.
there's so much like, the cultural history because,
Mhm. Yeah.
we're African, Taino, Indian, and Spanish,
Mhm.
and there's probably other stuff in there too. So
Yeah.
yeah, when you're Puerto Rican, it's like in my family, everybody looks really different. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, amazing. No, that's great. And I'm happy to have you here. And I love that you bring that Puerto Rican Caribbean side to you.
yeah.
So that's amazing. So the second question that I would love to ask you is, what is the work that you are doing for the Feminine Collective?
So right now I have a small internet presence
Mm,
where I talk about breastfeeding grief.
mm,
And I've kind of like taken a step back from that, but I did have at some point I was doing breastfeeding grief circles. So that's
mhm,
for women who had any type of grief around their breastfeeding relationships.
mhm,
Uh, so, most of the time that's like for women who wanted to breastfeed and they couldn't.
mhm,
But as I've like worked more in that space, breastfeeding grief, it can look all types of ways. Some women ended up exclusively pumping, but they really
Mhm.
wanted to be, breastfeeding at the breast, and that didn't happen for some reason.
Mhm.
Or maybe their breastfeeding relationship ended abruptly and unexpectedly.
Mhm.
So that like breastfeeding, breastfeeding, it's not just a physical act. Like it's like it involves your entire self, I feel
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
And so yeah, so I kind of like created that space to honor that.
Mhm.
And I've also worked a little bit with women for like healing their breastfeeding grief. And I did offer, and maybe in the future I'll offer it, to help women if they want to prepare for breastfeeding
Mhm.
in the future, but they've had a traumatic breastfeeding relationship already, and they just kind of want to figure out how to plan for the second time.
Mhm.
So those are the types of things that I was offering to work
Okay.
with women, and did like a little bit of help with breastfeeding.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. And it's something that isn't very heard of. Like, I haven't heard of, women that hold breastfeeding grief circles or hold space for that, even really. It seems like it's something that is more kind of hush hush, pushed under the ground, and women don't really get to speak about it. So it's really beautiful that you were offering spaces for women to be seen in what they were feeling over their journeys of breastfeeding, whether it was traumatic, whether, like you said, it ended abruptly, or they had to start pumping, but they were really wanting to have this relationship. It's really nice to know that there is places out there that will um, support these women and see them in the journey that
Mhm.
they're taking. And that leads me into my next question of how did you even get into this type of work, working with breastfeeding grief?
So that, I mean, that was a really, really personal. I think that I talked about that. I'm pretty sure I did talk about that
You
on
did,
my
yeah, in your
episode.
first episode.
Um, but it had to do with my breastfeeding relationship with my first daughter,
Hmm.
which was really hard and really traumatic in a lot of ways. And it was not what I just kind of fantasized that like I'd give birth to this baby and then I'd just be breastfeeding her and it was going to be wonderful and beautiful. And it
Hmm.
was not that.
Hmm.
Like that first week of breastfeeding was there was during the nights there was zero sleep. My baby wasn't like, her diapers weren't what they were supposed to be. Like she wasn't pooping and peeing
Hmm.
regularly. That wasn't increasing over time. And she at night, I just remember how, and it's like it's normal for babies to cry, right? They were just in
Hmm.
like a warm, safe space and they came out, but like the way that my baby would cry at night, I felt like something was wrong.
Okay.
And yeah, and so it took a lot of time to heal from that whole journey. And then like in the and I knew I wanted to serve women, so like in the
Hmm.
healing of that journey kind of came out that like, oh yeah, I actually want to help women with breastfeeding, because part of that healing journey was learning about breastfeeding. For me, I wanted to know like what went wrong, why did it
Right.
go wrong? And so
Okay.
I just wanted to learn as much as I possibly could to
Okay.
figure out what happened.
Right. And then, so just to kind of recap briefly, because you do share more in the first episode you were in with me last year, but what sort of things did you do to bring healing and learn more about the breastfeeding journey that you had with your daughter? Did you do this like self-study kind of way, or did you reach out to lactation consultants and other women? Like, how did you go about that healing for yourself?
Um, I feel like it was a long road
Mm.
before I got to what really helped me. Like I reached out to therapists,
Yeah.
and that I hear my children. I reached out to therapists and the therapists really weren't very helpful.
Mm.
I just had one that just would cancel on me all of the time.
Oh God.
And I remember her saying something about, but you're gonna send them to her to daycare eventually, right? And I was like, what? And
Oh.
then yeah, it was just really weird. And then another one said, about my breastfeeding grief specifically. I remember she said, um, she was just like, but it's been 4 months, like, and you're still upset about this. And I'm just like, what? It's like, that's
That's
not a long
terrible.
like that's not a long period of time. Like it feels like it was yesterday.
Mm,
So it was kind of hard. And then yeah, it was kind of hard trying to figure out like who's the right person to go to. I mean,
mm-hmm,
in the immediate postpartum, I did I did work with a few lactation consultants
mm-hmm,
and those experiences weren't very helpful either.
mm,
um uh yeah, I mean the first lactation consultant, to her credit, she was like really supportive about the way that I birthed my daughter. And she was like, you've done the best that you could for your daughter, birthing her this way to like
mm,
start breastfeeding, to like protect the breastfeeding relationship.
yeah.
And she really commended me on that, and that felt really good.
Mm-hmm,
But there were other things that happened during that visit that did not feel good. Like
mm-hmm,
she was like hand expressing one of my breasts and it hurt because I think I had a
mm,
clogged duct, and she was like, I have to do this. Which
yeah.
is just very violating.
Yeah.
Um, she gave my baby to my mother to feed her first bottle without like asking me.
Mm,
That was really upsetting.
mm-hmm.
Um, and she put me on a triple feeding schedule, but did not educate me at all about flange size,
So what's
like
a
how to
triple
pump.
feeding schedule?
Okay, so triple feeding is um what I would do is I would nurse the baby first on both breasts.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would give her a bottle and then I would pump.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yes. And you're supposed to do that in the beginning 8 to 12 times a day. So,
What?
yeah, for like every feeding.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
much.
But sometimes they'll say, like to give yourself a break in the middle of the night, like, so you have like a 4 hour chunk of sleep, or like maybe like skip one during the night. But yeah, I think triple feeding is insane.
That is
know, I think
insane.
it's insane. I've heard of women who do it for months on end, and I really don't understand how, honestly, because it doesn't, I don't think it's even sustainable for a couple of weeks, but women somehow do it for months on end. I don't know what the rest of their lives look like, because
Yeah.
it's like you're just constantly, it's like you're doing that and then you're preparing, then you have to like clean the stuff or whatever, and then do it
Yeah.
again in like
Yeah.
2 to 3 hours.
And so what is the point of triple feeding? Because to me, the way that I'm hearing it and like thinking in my head, okay, you're getting the baby on both breasts, but then you're getting the baby on a bottle and then you're pumping yourself. And it
Mhm.
seems like, well, if you're getting the baby on both breasts, you might as well just keep them there and not give them the bottle and then start pumping afterwards.
So if you're so it's to address low supply. So if you
Okay,
think
okay.
that you have low supply in your baby, you still want to stimulate your breast to make milk.
Right. Okay.
So and let's say the baby is not efficient at getting the milk out. So you want to make sure you get the milk out by pumping.
Okay.
So like if the
Okay.
baby is not efficient, let's say I'm nursing her at both breasts, but she's not efficient at the breast, I want to make sure that I empty the breast so that my breasts get the signal to continue to make more milk.
Okay. Okay.
And so that's the whole idea behind triple feeding, is
Right.
to increase milk production while also making sure that your baby gets fed, which is why you're giving them a bottle.
Afterward. Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
I can see how that makes sense, but still, like, my brain is just like, well, then just keep your baby on the breast the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't
But
know.
if you're not making enough milk,
Milk, then they're not getting
that's the
anything.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah, then they're not getting anything. Okay. Yeah, that does make sense. But also, like
Yeah.
that.
Because eventually they're gonna get tired,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so I mean, and usually, and for my daughter, she ended up being like briefly hospitalized for being dehydrated.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm trying, where was I going with this?
Yeah. Sorry for
Like the way,
interrupting.
no, it's okay.
And
I'm just trying to remember like the initial question of like the way, like how did I end up
Because you were saying that the lactation consultant that had come to your house, she had given you the like
The
record,
triple feeding.
yeah, to do the triple feeding.
Yeah. And kind of like without like an exit plan of like how do I get out of that?
Yeah.
And so yeah, so I ended up breastfeeding my daughter for 6 weeks only. Um, so those were the, couple lactation consultants that I used. I tried reaching out, I think around 4 months postpartum, to other lactation consultants to I was like considering trying to relactate,
Mm.
but like around 2 weeks into trying to relactate, I decided to stop because my baby, it was really stressful because it's like I had to go back on a pumping schedule to try
Mm.
because at that point my milk, there really wasn't a lot there. So I
Mm.
was back on a pumping schedule to try and get my milk back up. And I think at that point I still didn't know about flange size.
Okay.
I'm not sure. No. If I knew about flange size. Did I know? I don't remember, but I was pumping and I was trying to get her back to the breast, and that was really challenging. And she wasn't really taking to it. And I reached out to a couple of lactation consultants, but didn't really have any. Um, I didn't like really work with one
Mm.
like intensely or anything during that time. But then so yeah, I mean, and then there was just a lot of self-study. I'm trying to remember, so I learned a lot about low supply from a Facebook group.
Okay.
Um, and I kind of like went through all of the materials that they had in there. Um, and I'm sure I don't remember exactly like all the ways that I learned about breastfeeding.
Mm.
I'm just like, what resource is it? Like I guess it all kind of happened over time. Like there's this
Yeah.
one book called The Politics of Breastfeeding, which is a really great book that I recommend.
Mm-hmm.
And then so eventually I found Lisa Masters, who I just happened to work with. Yeah, I just happened to work with her in some like group coaching.
Okay.
Not it was somebody else's coaching program, and we were paired up together. So
Mm-hmm.
she was my partner, and then I found out about the work that she did just from getting to know her, and then eventually I started working with her,
Mm.
and she was just like, okay, if you want to work with women, you're gonna have to like heal all this stuff, like because you don't want to take all that stuff into your work with women. And so there was a lot of journaling work that
Mm-hmm.
I did with her, and where I really started to kind of like break down my experience with what happened, um, and started to really be able to kind of like separate things out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like in my work, when I worked with her, I finally came to the understanding that like I did everything that I could have done for my breastfeeding relationship with my daughter, because for a long time I carried the story that I didn't do enough,
Mm.
because of stuff I would see like online or on the internet. Like I wasn't determined enough. I needed to be more determined. I needed, I should have done, other women have done XYZ and I didn't do XYZ. So I clearly didn't try hard enough. But when I really just kind of looked at my own story and listed out all of the things that I did do
Yeah.
and all of the ways that I tried, I was just like, oh, I did a lot. Like I
Mm-hmm.
tried really hard to breastfeed my daughter. And
Mm-hmm.
it was like when I came to that realization and accepted that I tried really hard to breastfeed her,
Mm-hmm.
I think I was able to kind of like forgive myself,
Okay. Yeah.
um, and yeah, and start to like heal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and really, and one of the journal prompts was something about like just writing the facts of what happened, like, and keeping the feelings out. And that
Okay.
kind of really helped me to kind of, because every time I would tell the story, I would feel like I was reliving it, and I
Mm.
didn't know how to stop that.
Yeah.
And doing that, like just separating out like the facts of what happened from my feelings about what happened really helped me
Mm-hmm.
to kind of I don't know, like something in my brain, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like was able to kind of like work through it.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
makes sense because the feelings that you have with a certain situation are so powerful that it just keeps you, like you're saying, you kind of feel like traumatized again
Mhm.
talking about it. So when you are just stating like, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what I did, this is what my baby did, you're
Yeah.
just putting it in that new perspective of like, oh, okay, so facts, 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 facts. Okay, these are all the things. This is all like the truth of it. Whereas the
Yeah.
feelings sometimes make that truth a bit more distorted. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really great idea for
Yeah.
women that are, struggling to heal from this, or even just in the middle of a breastfeeding journey that's not going the way that they want to just kind of be like, separate your facts and separate your feelings and know that they're both valid, but they don't have to commingle and
Yeah.
make everything seem a little bit more than it is.
Yeah. I mean, even
Yeah.
just talking about it now, I feel myself getting like, I feel like the energy, I don't know, like I feel a little bit shaky. I kind of feel, I don't know, I feel hot.
Mm,
Like I feel it in my body right now. Like I
yeah.
feel it's not the same that it was, but it's still definitely,
Reside.
it was a big thing that happened in my life. So yeah, talking about it, I feel like the adrenaline is like
Hmm.
kind of pumping right now,
Yeah.
just talking about it. So yeah, it's a process.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, before when I would talk about it, I can talk about it without crying.
Okay.
But now it's just like I feel it's like, yeah, it's just I guess the adrenaline kind of going, I guess
Hmm.
talking about it.
Yeah, totally. And it's, it's a traumatic event. It's like any person that goes through healing of trauma, there's always going to be that residual piece to it because that was something that happened. And like it's never going to completely go away because, yes, it is a part of your story and, it will still be there. But like you said, you can speak about it without crying now, which is really
Yeah,
beautiful to show like where you are now comparative to where you were back then.
yeah.
Um,
I think it's
yeah.
just that it's so like emotionally charged,
Hmm.
that experience.
Yeah,
And
totally.
so it feels like there's so many layers. And sometimes when I talk about it, I feel really kind of scattered.
Right. Okay.
Like I want to give a clear story,
Hmm.
but I think because of the feelings that come up,
Hmm.
it yeah, it's like I feel like all these kind of bits and pieces of my story are just kind of like shooting into my head.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
just all kind of, it's like all the little tiny bits and pieces and like the things that I talk to, like
Mm.
the little confrontations or conversations that I had with people. And
Hmm.
yeah, and that's also like why I do the work that I do with women,
Hmm.
because it's like not everybody understands
Yeah.
what that's like. And
Hmm.
it's nice to have a space where you can kind of air that stuff out so it doesn't hold as much power over you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Absolutely. And that's yeah, it's like I was saying at the beginning, having women be able to be seen in what they're going through because that is I've never had a breastfeeding relationship because I've never had a child, so I don't know the, full ins and outs of what you've experienced or what other women experience. I just know, in my mind and in my head that breastfeeding is the physiologic way to feed our children. That is just how it has been done for the beginning of time until up until recently. So yeah, I don't have the story of going through a struggle of that. So I can't relate to women that go through that, but I can like listen, but still being able to listen and like have that certain level of empathy and be like, yeah, I get it is like I
Right.
don't have that. So it is important to have women that can say that and be like, I know what you've gone through. I've done it too. And, this is what I did. Let me hold you. Let me hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one question I do want to ask you then in this whole journey of you going through this breastfeeding, struggling, and then coming to the side of bringing healing and learning about that, like what did you end up kind of learning about the benefits of breastfeeding? Or what was it that really kicked you into that drive of wanting to continue breastfeeding and then breastfeeding the second child that you did have? Does that make sense?
Um, I think. Um, so what, so
Here, let me rephrase.
yeah.
So, like, why is it that you wanted to breastfeed, basically? And why was it such an important piece to you having that relationship with you and your children? Whereas, you know, in today's age, breastfeeding isn't seen as something that is that important for mother and baby to have. So was there like a singular reason as to why you were so determined to continue or wanting to continue with that first babe, trying to have that breastfeeding relationship, and why it was so important for you to figure out the reasons why this first journey didn't work out for you in the way that you wanted, and then bringing that new relationship with that second child?
I mean, breastfeeding was, I guess I'm trying to fit, because it was really important to me the first time.
Mm,
And I'm pretty sure I knew like generally what the benefits were like for like immune support
mm,
and and it's just like food that is it's like the perfect food for a newborn baby and
mhm,
like it's the most optimal way to feed them. Um and I'm just kind of thinking I'm just thinking about like my second daughter because I could have after that experience with my first daughter, I could have very easily been like, well, I'm just not going to do that again. That was
mhm,
too hard. I'm just not going to do it again.
mhm.
But instead, for me, it just like helped me to like double down, like, no, I will do this.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to do this. I'm going to figure out a way how to do this.
yeah.
I mean, um, yeah, I feel like it's kind of like I feel like it's kind of like how for me, how I feel like free birth is the most optimal way that I could birth my baby.
Yeah.
And even if it's not an easy decision to make, and even if it's not like simple and easy, it's like it's still the thing that I am striving for
Mm,
because it's the best thing for me and my child. Um,
mhm.
yeah, I feel like was there like a singular thing that just really made me I just didn't want to go through that pain again.
Mhm.
I didn't want to like and I knew I wanted it felt like because I didn't breastfeed my first daughter, it felt like something was fractured
Mm,
with us and with like our relationship and our bond. And like I don't know that our bond necessarily like she loves me and I love her,
mhm,
but it felt for a long time, I think, especially like early postpartum, it's just like that thing that's missing.
yeah.
It felt like I remember feeling like, do I love her less? Like do I love her less? It is my love somehow less because I'm not breastfeeding her. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to feel that. Oh my goodness. No. What happened? Did I go away?
No, no, you're still here.
Okay, that's so weird. My computer just like totally interrupted me. It was
Oh.
just like, what are you doing? And like changed the screen and everything.
Oh,
Okay. All right. I thought I lost the call.
no.
Yeah, I didn't want to go through that. I wanted our bond to like remain intact
Yeah.
the second time, which I feel like definitely happened. Um, yeah, the whatever that fracture that I felt like intuitively like with my daughter for the first time
Mhm.
of giving birth and breastfeeding, like I didn't really feel that with my second.
Okay.
I felt like we were able to keep like the whole pregnancy postpartum like that connection between us like was never really broken because I was able to save the breastfeeding relationship.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if that really answers the question. I mean, because there are so many benefits to breastfeeding.
Hmm.
There's like, like the scientific stuff, but for me, it was really, I feel like yes, that was important for me to be able to like protect my child, like, like with her immune system. Like, I mean, I think that's like so amazing the way that breast milk protects babies.
Hmm.
But yeah, I really wanted to protect that emotional bond.
Hmm.
Like I didn't want to just give her the milk. I wanted to like breastfeed her.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. No, that answers the question perfectly, and that makes total sense. Absolutely. Like, at least to me, I'm like, yeah, of course that makes sense that you would
yeah,
want to have that bond and keep that going, because that is you, like, from the diet of being baby within the womb to the diet of being baby outside the womb. That's that extra piece of connection. So yeah, I can totally see that. And
yeah. I mean, if even makes me a little bit sad. My daughter, she'll be like, when I was a baby and I was sad, you would give me milk, and I'm just like, no, baby, I'm so,
mm,
like, no,
aw,
like I didn't because it's like we stopped breastfeeding early,
yeah.
and that makes me a little bit sad that I'm just like, no, we didn't have that. I mean, of course, I would comfort her, but we didn't have,
Mhm.
like I didn't boob her whenever she got hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm sure there's also different ways that, you would give her comfort. But yeah, I can understand how giving your breast to the baby is that big piece of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, totally.
so yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not so sad about it, but I do correct her because I don't want to lie to her about like
Mm-hmm.
what we had or didn't have. But I
Mm-hmm.
am really grateful that she gets to see. I feel like it's even, I don't know, is it more impactful? I mean, so she obviously does not remember breastfeeding because we stopped at 6 weeks, but it's so great that like, she's 5 and she gets to see me breastfeed her sister.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like that makes like to me that's a big impact on her. She just sees that as normal.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's beautiful that even though she didn't experience it for long, she does get to see that with her sister, because
yeah.
then, if she grows up and she decides to have children, she's going to have that remembrance of like, oh, well, my mom just breastfed baby. So like I can do that too,
Yeah.
and you're obviously going to be there and, supporting her in that decision to say like,
Yeah.
yes, breastfeed, this is what you want to do. So
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely. Seeing these things, and that's what we need in just like everyday normalized culture, is seeing women in public breastfeeding their children, and not, asking them, oh, excuse me, can you cover up? That's inappropriate. Because it's like, are you kidding me? It's the
Yeah.
most appropriate thing in the whole entire world, is to see a woman breastfeeding her baby.
Yeah.
And it's like getting that normalization back into our mind's eye, that it's not sexual to breastfeed a baby. It's literally life-giving to breastfeed a child, and having people understand that narrative switch that has been so, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, vilely turned into something that it really isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't see a lot of women breastfeeding in public. I saw a woman breastfeeding in public surprisingly this past weekend, but
Hmm.
she was wearing a cover. Like
Oh yeah.
it's kind of like an apron. I
Hmm.
was like, but you know what? I'm happy she's breastfeeding.
Yeah.
I was like, that's nice. I get to see there's somebody out here breastfeeding.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I always try and, like, I don't see it very often, but whenever I do, I always try and smile at mothers. And I really want to like walk up to them and be like, I'm so happy you're doing this, but I don't want it to be weird.
Somebody did
But
that to me. I
also,
was at a funeral and somebody came up to me
yeah.
and I'm breastfeeding a toddler now. So like
Yeah.
this woman, she was like, you're breastfeeding your daughter. That's so great. I wasn't even breastfeeding at that moment in time. I
Okay.
guess she had just seen me breastfeeding when she walked in
Yeah.
and she came up and I was just like, that was so nice of her.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm entering the point with my daughter where I'm nervous that people are gonna say stuff because she's getting older. She's 19 months now.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm getting into that territory where people might be like, why are you still breastfeeding? But
Hmm.
instead, for someone to come over to me and go out of their way to say, that's so great that you're breastfeeding her is like
Yeah.
really, really sweet.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind the next time I see it. I'm not just gonna smile. I'm gonna say, because like I want to, but then I don't want to like make them feel weird. Not that I guess it would to be like, yay, I'm so happy you're breastfeeding, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm always just like, I'll smile at her and be like, yay, because inside
Yeah.
I'm just so happy that she's doing it in public and like,
Yeah.
yes, do it. So I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. I don't know. I did want to say, like, I think so for me, I thought that just because I free birthed my daughter, that things would be smooth and easy. And
Mm,
because I feel like that was kind of a lot of the messaging that I got from like
yeah.
in like the free birth world.
Mm-hmm.
And was that like because it is true, right, that having like lots of birth interventions can negatively impact your breastfeeding journey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like it's also like there are women, like it happens where women have like C-sections and then have really easy breastfeeding relationships. I'm not saying all the time. I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
a C-section is the best way to have a, a great
Yeah.
breastfeeding relationship, but like just the way that there are women who have C-sections who have easy breastfeeding relationships. There are women who have free births and have horrendous breastfeeding relationships. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not like if you do this, this
Mm-hmm.
is gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
I wish that that's how it was. And I
Mm,
think it might be like that a lot of the time, but
yeah.
it doesn't guarantee it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and I'm so glad that you did say that because it's true. There are people out there that just believe, okay, well, I'm going to have a free birth and it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be at home. I'll be in my power. And then everything after that will, just be magically miraculous and perfect in all sorts of ways. And yeah, you're the example as well that like that's not necessarily true all of the time. And
Right.
um yeah, you can't just think just because it's going to be a free birth baby that everything will be perfect.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I mean, and
really.
I think that like kind of what was like taught to me, which I found really helpful, is is to become really familiar with what like normal physiological breastfeeding looks like when things are working well.
Mm,
Um, and so that way, if something is wrong, then you're able to be like, okay, this isn't quite right. Like one of the most basic things is diaper output. It's like the diaper, like the amount of pee is supposed to like kind of line up with how many days postpartum you are.
okay.
So like one pee the first day, two pees on day two, three pees on day three. Like it's
Hmm.
supposed to increase in frequency, and then the poop is supposed to transition
Right.
from that like meconium poop to the more like the breast milk poop. And so like each day like the color like slowly changes,
Mm,
and you're gonna want to see probably an increase in the amount of poop. You're not gonna want to see less and less. You're gonna want to see more
more.
and more
Right. Yeah.
of that poop. And that's how you know that your baby is getting the amount of milk that they need.
Hmm.
And so yeah, for both of my babies, that was not the case.
Okay.
Yeah, their output was not reflecting that things were going well.
Okay.
And I tried to kind of hold space for my second baby that like
Mhm.
maybe this is her normal, like maybe, but she wasn't, she never really caught up. So yeah.
Mm,
Um and with my second baby, like since we're talking about physiological breastfeeding, um, it's like that's like you keeping the baby at the breast.
mhm,
And so for me, it was really important that I kept her at the breast. I did not want to introduce bottles.
mhm.
And so I ended up using a supplemental nursing system. Well, that's let's get mixed up with a supplemental nursing system is for a specific brand.
Okay.
I guess I don't need to be technical. Um, or at the breast supplementers. Sometimes they're called at the breast, like they're called all different types of things, but it's like
Right.
the little tube. It's like you have like a little tiny bottle of milk and
Yeah.
there's a tube that connects it, and then you can just put it into the baby's mouth once they're on your breast, or you can tape it to your breast and then latch the baby on. And that's what I did so that I could stimulate like my breast and my milk coming in and she could get milk and also get a
Ah,
supplementation like I use donor milk. Um, so she could get that at the same time so that I didn't have to also pump because I did,
oh, yeah.
yeah, because I wasn't sure. I still honestly am not sure if I had low supply in the very
Mm,
beginning.
hmm.
Um, because we did get her tongue tie released
Okay.
when she was around 6 weeks. And then once that happened, she was able to get more milk. So
Mm,
I don't know if like, let's say that she didn't have a tongue tie.
hmm.
I don't know if things would have been fine. Like maybe she just wasn't getting the milk out, like
Right.
enough and then I had low supply because she wasn't getting the milk out and I wasn't pumping. I don't
Right,
know.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I guess that's something that you won't like truly know unless she had come out without the tongue tie and then you could
yeah.
have, yeah, worked it out in that way.
Yeah. I mean, um, there's just there's like so many things because I also found out at some point that I'm pre-diabetic.
Okay.
Um, during postpartum, I found out that I was pre-diabetic, and apparently, so that's like a step beyond insulin resistance, and
Mm.
apparently there is a connection between being insulin resistant and low milk supply. So,
Okay.
yeah, but you know what? Like for me, I feel like so I ended up by around I don't know if it was 2 months or 3 months. I was exclusively breastfeeding
Hmm.
this second baby.
Hmm.
And it's not like there like I feel like there's still some kind of question marks around like my supply and like I'm sometimes curious like what would happen if I had another baby? What
Hmm.
would that be like? Um, and would I get more information about like what's going on with supply or whatever, or would I be able to like maybe I have some hormonal things going on and
Hmm.
what if I could like heal that before I had another baby and would I be able to like I ended up taking some medication to help me increase my supply.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, but what's most important to me was that I was able to do it. Like there's a lot of question marks, but I still was able to do it at the end of the day. I still had like the tools that I needed. And I really like leaned into my intuition for
Okay.
every single decision that I made.
Okay.
In regards to this breastfeeding relationship. So it's just like, do I take the medication? Do I not take the medication? I made that decision a couple of times. Like first I was like, no, I'm not going to take it. And then it came to a point where I was like, I think that's the best decision is to see what happens with this medication.
Hmm.
With the tongue tie, I didn't like go directly to the tongue tie
Hmm.
release. I got her body work
Yeah.
first and I was in pain for 6 weeks. And I would
Mm.
prefer to not, have her get her mouth lasered.
Yeah.
But it seemed like that was the next step
Yeah.
because things weren't working out. Like I dreading every feeding is no fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And I love how you say that you use your intuition to make these choices. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was something that you really made sure that it was something you could be settled with and something that you really wanted to do.
Mhm.
So that's really beautiful. Sorry, can I just have to mute this for 1 second? What I will segue into then is I want to ask you about the grief circles that you held. Was this something that you came up with by yourself, or had you like previously gone to one and then thought, oh, this is something that needs to be more prevalent, something that I want to do more often? Um, how did that come to be for you?
Um, that's funny. I'm just like, how did that come about? I'm not even sure. I don't I don't remember exactly. I remember I was kind of creating my business at that point and I had like these um like higher priced offerings, like for
Mm,
one-on-one support, but I wanted something that was more easily accessible for women.
mhm,
Um, and I did go to a like a postpartum depression um like Zoom group once.
mhm,
And so I think that kind of gave me an idea of like what I would prefer.
mhm.
So I didn't run it the way that that group was.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, I mean, and it's really just like it's like a really simple, straightforward group. Like we like I remember the postpartum group that I went to, they had like these like slides, like a presentation, and I don't even remember what the presentation was about, but then eventually the women got to talk. And I feel like that's what I wanted, was just a space for women to talk, like I would bring um sometimes I would bring a topic that we could talk about. And if women wanted to talk about that topic, they could. But if not, they could just talk about where they were at, what it was that they were experiencing at that moment in time. Um, and then they would always have the option, if they wanted to work one-on-one with me, to like really delve deep into their story, because
Mm,
having a circle is like, it's not really like we don't have like the time to
mhm.
kind of really delve deep into there, because there's just so many layers, I feel
Yeah.
like. Or there can be so many layers. But yeah, the circles, I mean, um, I remember like one woman talking about um, like being triggered by like hearing another breastfeeding baby and like hearing the baby swallow the milk.
Okay.
And it was just like, wow, I never experienced like that, and then
Mhm.
she could come to the grief circle and kind of talk about that experience and how that made her feel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess there are just, excuse me, so many different aspects to where that breastfeeding grief could come from.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess it depends, like if it's low milk supply or your baby has massive tongue ties that it can't, latch, or yeah, whatever it may be. There are so many possible challenges that can interrupt that journey. And yeah, it
Yeah.
really can be heartbreaking if that is your number one, goal for a mother who's like, yes, okay, I'm pregnant, this baby's coming into this world, and we're going to have this
Mhm.
beautiful breastfeeding relationship. I'm going to breastfeed until they're 2 or 3 or whenever they want to stop. And then it just kind of
Yeah.
comes to a halt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That was always my goal, to breastfeed to at least two.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is
Yeah.
exciting that I feel like I'm gonna get to do it this time. I'm no longer taking that medication. So that's something that
Okay.
I've been talking about on my page. I was taking,
Yeah.
so it's called domperidone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is not me recommending it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have had some whatever, TMI. No, there's nothing TMI, right? This is a free birth.
Yeah, no, no,
I so
nothing.
like so I when there was one day, I think it was my birthday, I went to the bathroom and I peed, and my pee was pink. And I was like, what is happening?
Oh my
So I
gosh.
still do not have the answers, right? So there's
Yeah.
something going on with my kidneys. Apparently, there's also something going on with my liver.
Mm,
And because I went and got some blood work done, and like I had elevated liver enzymes. And so I need to, I still have to find a doctor. I'm like in the
yeah.
process of trying to find a doctor to try and find out what's going on with my liver. But I decided to stop taking the medication
Mhm.
because my child was solidly on solids.
Yeah.
And I was like, if this medication is hurting my health, then I'm going to get off of it. And actually,
Mm,
I think I found the insert online, and it said, that you shouldn't take it if you have problems with your liver. So I
okay.
don't know if it caused the problems with my liver or what, but I decided to stop taking it.
Hmm.
And why did I start talking about the medication? I don't remember. I don't remember why I started talking about the medication.
You said that you were
Uh,
just fully off of it and that your
oh yeah,
daughter.
so yeah. Well, oh, I was nervous that she was gonna stop breastfeeding.
Mm,
Because I didn't know like how much it would impact my supply. And I still don't know because I don't pump. So I
right.
can't measure, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that it went down. But I think if my supply did go down, then
Mhm.
she's made up for it with food.
Yeah.
Um, and I can tell, for me, I can just tell by her output.
Yeah.
Because she started to like poop a lot. At some point, like her poops got like really spaced out, um, which can be normal for breastfed babies, apparently.
Hmm.
That at some point that their poops can that they don't poop that often.
Yeah.
I feel like there's conflicting information out there
Okay.
about whether or not that's normal, but that's what was
Right.
happening with her. But
Mm.
then she started to poop like every single day again.
Hmm.
And and I was nervous about coming off of the medication. I was nervous that she wouldn't get enough like food, and I was nervous that she'd get upset about like lack of milk and like what if she
Mm.
stopped nursing. But now I'm fully off the like I weaned off of the medication, I'm off of it, and she's still nursing fine.
Hmm.
And like her output is fine and
Yeah.
she's eating her food. And so yeah, so I'm pretty confident that we are gonna make our goal of 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's really um comforting. And I feel like I'm like, okay, I'm just a breastfeeding mom now.
Hmm.
Because it I think I even kind of felt like a little bit like I'm cheating somehow because I'm taking this medication.
Okay.
Just, I don't know, maybe not cheating. Yeah, I didn't like the fact that I was take I generally don't like to take medication.
Yeah.
So like taking it for that, but it seemed worth it to me at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
So
and
yeah.
you do what you have to do. You
Yeah.
really wanted to have this breastfeeding relationship. And like you said, you used your intuition to see if this was a choice that you wanted to make. And that was the answer for the situation
Yeah.
that had presented itself. That makes total
I mean,
sense.
and the reason that I started taking the medication was because she started pulling the tubing out of her mouth when I would nurse her.
Mm,
And I was nervous that she wasn't, I'm like, if you're not gonna take like the supplement, like I was nervous that she wasn't gonna be getting enough milk.
yeah,
And to me, it seemed like it wasn't gonna be enough for her.
right.
And
Yeah,
that's how I felt at the time. And so I decided to take the medication.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah. So I have a question for you then. So because you've had the low milk supply in the first with the first baby and then again suspected with the second one, what are those signs that you noticed specifically that kind of tipped you off for anyone like for myself? Like I said, I don't have any babies. I've never had a breastfeeding
Mhm.
relationship. What would be something that I would look for um or would present in my body with my baby that would kind of say like, oh, this is a low milk supply issue.
I feel like the number one thing would be the diaper output,
Like, great
which
stuff.
yeah, that would be the number, especially, like those first days, the milk is transitioning from colostrum to mature milk. And yeah, it's like that's the main thing to look at is like their diapers. It's like if their diapers are progressing the way that they're supposed to, then then there isn't a problem. I
Mhm.
feel like the approach now, like if you go to a lactation consultant, they're gonna be talking about weighing your baby,
Mm,
which um so yeah, the what's it called? I don't think weight I so like full disclosure, I have weighed my baby.
mm,
But it's not, I don't think it's like necessary to weigh your baby. I think a lot of women kind of, especially if they're taking their baby to a pediatrician,
mm,
the pediatrician is going to be like obsessed with weight and going to be like, you need to start giving, like, I think most women are probably like, I wouldn't be surprised if most women are told that they need to supplement, that their baby is not gaining enough weight.
mhm.
Um, but like just from like a but I mean, there was so much, there were eons, right? How much time was there that the human race existed before pediatricians? And how were women
Yeah.
assessing whether or not their babies were healthy and were like thriving? And I feel like, I mean, so yeah, output is the biggest thing. Like if you're
Hmm.
not going to be consulting with a pediatrician or weighing your baby, there's output. And so like if your baby, if it's like day 3 and your baby has only peed once and is not pooping, or and then it's day 4 and your baby is only like, my baby was like only peed once,
Hmm.
you know, and like still hasn't pooped, and like what's going on with the poop, then you might want to be
Yeah.
like, hey, what's going on,
Yeah. Okay.
you know. um yeah, I feel I'm just, it's like you also have to be, it's like you have to be careful too, because you don't want to sabotage the breastfeeding relationship. Like I feel like
Mm.
that first week is so it's so important, because you want the baby to like be nursing, to like
Hmm.
bring your milk in. So yeah. Um the babies pees and poos are the most important thing.
Hmm.
Um and I mean, so like I was always really kind of caught up with my breast size,
Hmm.
because my breast didn't really grow much during pregnancy. Um, and they didn't like, I've heard so many women will say like they've gotten like porn star boobs, you know, like
Hmm.
the week after their baby is born, that their breasts are ginormous, and like
Yeah.
that didn't happen to me.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'm just like, I was eventually at some point able to exclusively breastfeed my baby. So
Hmm.
I feel like sure, like notice what's going on with your breast and like pay attention to your breasts. But I don't think it's like important to get like too hung up on like breast size or like how engorged they are.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't, I mean, that's kind of my experience.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, because sometimes, because like there's like with low supply specifically, there's a lot of talk about like insufficient glandular tissue
Hmm.
or tubular breasts,
Yeah.
and that's like having like a lack of like breast tissue, maybe like under your breast or at the side or like the inside, or that they kind of look like tubes. I don't
Your
know.
breasts do
Yeah, like
when they're engorged or
no,
just
no,
when
no.
they're growing?
So like for breasts that are considered to have insufficient glandular tissue, or tubular breasts are, it's like a specific breast shape that like your breasts didn't develop properly. It's like
Okay.
the idea.
Right.
And um so for I kind of got caught up. So in the I kind of got caught up in that,
Hmm.
thinking that like maybe my breasts are like that, and
Hmm.
that's what my problem is. And I think,
Right.
especially in the low milk supply kind of world on the internet, there's a
Hmm.
lot of talk about like there's a lot of focus on like, do I have these kinds of breasts? And does that mean that I'm not, is that why I'm not making enough milk? But
Okay.
it's possible to have look breasts that kind of look tubular, whatever that means.
Yeah.
um and still make enough milk for your baby.
Okay.
Um, and those kinds of breasts, like when I've looked it up, they talk about them in terms of like plastic surgeons. Like that's where that information comes from, and that's where that
Okay.
categorization comes from. It's
Okay.
plastic surgeons. So I'm just like, aren't they just trying to like aren't they just trying to make money off of us? You know, like say like this is like the perfect breast shape, and this is like something is wrong with your breast. And so
Yeah.
women with these kinds of breasts usually end up getting breast implants. And so maybe it's because your breast is shaped that way, there's something wrong with your breast and you're not going to make enough milk.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm saying that, if you get what I'm saying.
No, that makes
Um,
total sense.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like you were saying before, women before this whole pediatricians came in to weigh babies to make sure they're growing. Like
Mhm.
before, kind of 400 years ago, when birth and pregnancy got put into the medical industrialized system,
Mhm.
women just knew how to, like, that their babies were healthy, that their breasts were making milk. And if their breasts
Yeah.
weren't making milk, then they would get another woman to
So
breastfeed. Like,
breastfeed them, yeah.
yeah, there was
And the
always a
thing
way around
Mhm.
it.
And I think women, what's it called? Also, like I think you can have, it's possible to have large breasts and so not to have insufficient glandular tissue,
Okay.
which the glandular tissue is just the tissue that makes the breast milk.
Right.
So like it's possible. So if you have, I guess my point is just I just don't want women to get caught up on like the way that
Mhm.
their breasts look and to
Mhm.
think that something is wrong with their breasts.
Right. Yeah.
So, because
Mhm.
I thought that initially, I think when I was
Mm.
first learning about low milk supply, I was like,
Mm.
somebody should have told me that because of the way that my breasts look like, that I might have a problem making milk.
Mm. Okay.
But as time has gone on, I don't think that I'm suspicious of that link, is what I'm
Right.
gonna say.
Yeah.
I don't think that there probably hasn't been enough research to
Mhm.
like definitively say that if your breast looks like this,
Mhm.
you are going to have problems making milk.
Yeah.
But a lot of women, especially on the internet, find this piece of information and then they'll
Mhm.
be like in these groups sending pictures of their breasts, like, is there something wrong with my breasts? Do I have like
Yeah.
IGT? Do I have tubular breasts?
Yeah.
And then women can also really impact their self-esteem about like
Mhm.
the way that their breasts look.
Mhm.
I,
Yeah,
I think there's
absolutely.
nothing better for your self-esteem than to go to like a women's festival and just be naked with a bunch of women.
Oh my gosh, I
It's
believe
like
that
the best.
too. Yeah, every
It's the
time I go to
best.
women's festivals, the best moments that I have is when we're all just like naked, dancing and
Yeah.
frolicking in the forest or swimming in the river. And because you see all these different bodies and you're just like, wow,
Yeah.
we're all fucking amazing. And
Yeah.
like, she's got big breasts, she's got a big butt, she's got small breasts, she's got, this and
Yeah.
that. And we're all just so different and beautiful in our own way. So that makes total sense. And I'm really happy that you brought that up, to not stress so much with women, to think like, oh, just because I saw a picture on the internet from WebMD that says my breasts are small and skinny and whatever, that there's
Yeah.
something wrong with me. It's like, no, that's
Yeah.
bullshit. And the study that came from was probably just like a size of 20 women that was done 40 years ago and makes no sense today. So yeah,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense not to dwell on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing all this up, because, like I said, I'm a newbie. I know basic information of breastfeeding. I know more information now about low milk supply, which is really beautiful, and not to pathologize it so much and like investigate if that were something that were to happen to myself or with someone that I'm supporting. Yeah, it's always just nice to have these conversations.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just my experience. I mean, then there's so much other stuff. Like there's like
Hmm.
oversupply, and that's like a
Yeah.
whole other thing. There's like inverted nipples, which
Hmm.
I've heard like different stories from, like you can breastfeed if you have inverted nipples. It might be a challenge. It
Hmm.
might not be. Like,
Hmm. Yeah, it
yeah,
just depends. Yeah.
yeah.
And like
I mean,
every
I hope I
woman's
haven't
different.
like scared any women, you know, listening to this. Yeah, I think some women do have like really easy or, beautiful breastfeeding relationships. Um, I don't know, breastfeeding, it's like it's a it's definitely a journey.
Hmm.
Like currently, do I still have it? I don't know. I think oh maybe it went away. I'm like, was it this breast or this breast? I keep getting clogged ducts.
Okay.
I actually haven't had one for a while,
Yeah.
but something that I feel like has been really helpful is learning like lymphatic drainage massage,
Yeah.
which is just like there's all these like little tricks and stuff that you hear about to like get
Hmm.
rid of clogged ducts, but I think lymphatic drainage massage is like probably the best thing that I've done personally. I
Hmm.
feel like that really helps to kind of, and it's just like really simple little movements that you
Yeah.
can do throughout the day, and you know, and that
Hmm.
can help with stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
there's so many little things that it can happen with breastfeeding. Which
Mhm.
I feel like it's nice to kind of learn about that
Mhm.
before you have your baby so
Mhm.
that you can be prepared and not be
Yeah.
like your clogged duct doesn't turn into mastitis. So like, you know, you can be on top of things and not be so fearful. Cause I definitely had a lot of fear. I think because the breastfeeding was, especially the first time, because it was going so poorly, then
Mm.
I had like anxiety, be like, but what if I get thrush? You know, and I
Mm.
don't know how to deal with that. What if I get mastitis? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know how to deal with that. And I just became so fearful, like
Okay.
in the middle of all of that, because I felt like I wasn't equipped to deal with anything that might could come up. And it's
Mhm.
also possible to like never have to deal with any of those things.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's nice to at least know where to go to get that
Mhm.
information. Um,
Totally.
like a website that I like to use sometimes is Kelly Mom.
Kelly mom.
Kelly Mom, yeah.
Okay.
Kelly Mom.
Okay.
And that has a lot of good information, I
Mhm.
think, about breastfeeding. It has so much information. I feel like you could just type whatever the topic is, whatever your question is, and write Kelly Mom, and I'm sure Google will,
Bring it
do
up.
magic and bring it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll link it to the show notes so that it can be a resource for anyone that is seeking more information, because that's true. Like knowledge is power. So educating yourself even before you are starting a breastfeeding journey is so helpful so that if something does arise, you already have that sense to know what to do instead of kind of being shocked at like, this isn't easy. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, what do I do now? And then just
Yeah.
hoping that it is easy and easeful. But if not, then you've got the resources that you can turn to see how you can make that experience better.
Yeah. And hopefully, like get to know the women in your community who have breastfed,
Hmm.
because there's a chance that somebody has already had whatever the issue it is that's coming up,
Yep.
whether it be like something like a clogged duct or even like something like boundaries, like,
Hmm.
can lean on your women in your community.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's important to like identify who those women are that you trust
Yeah.
beforehand,
Yep.
because not everybody's going to have good information.
Yeah. True.
Like for my first daughter, I remember I had she was really sweet and she was like, "Do you want to talk on the phone about what's going on?" And I was like, "Yes, please." And
Hmm.
we talked and she was really kind, but she was not very helpful.
Okay.
She thought that like my issue was that I felt like the baby needed me so much. She was like, "I remember when my baby was born, I felt like
Mm.
they needed me so much." And I'm like, "No, I'm okay with my baby needing me, but I feel like something is wrong, you know?" And she
Right.
wasn't
Yeah.
really equipped to like
Hmm.
be able to like recognize
Mm.
what was happening with me.
Okay. Yeah.
She was just a friendly mother in my community who like didn't have
Yeah.
the experience of what I was going through,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or the experience or the knowledge. And
Hmm.
so she probably just maybe assumed that I was having one problem when I was really having a completely different problem.
Something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, bless
So
her.
yeah. Huh?
I said, bless her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really sweet of her, but it also was not what I needed.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Hmm. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Lean on the community, find the women that you can resonate with and that can give you help and support in the ways that you actually do need.
yeah.
Community support is the way that, we're meant to be living, especially
Mhm.
mothers, new mothers going through this. Community support is so valuable and
Mhm.
necessary. So, yeah, that's a good point to
Yeah.
make. Totally. And seeing mothers breastfeed as well, so that you
Yeah.
can like visually see, like, oh, that's how she holds her baby when she's breastfeeding this way, or
Mhm.
that's how she, maneuvers her baby from, yeah, holding it over the shoulder to bringing it down to the breast or whatever. Yeah, just visually seeing, like I was saying before, seeing mothers breastfeed in public, but actually like hanging out with women that are breastfeeding before you have your baby or with your baby to copy them and mimic them and say, like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
this is how I can get in a way that works for the two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm about to I'm I'm planning on like revamping my website, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
thinking, I'm like, oh, I got to put all these resources together. So as we're talking, I'm like, I have like all these different, like, I mean, there's like so many, there's not so great YouTube videos, and there's also really amazing YouTube videos for, you
Mm-hmm.
know, seeing how a baby latches and
Mm-hmm.
different positions that you can get in, like if you're having trouble latching your baby.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just kind of getting comfortable with like what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Amazing. Oh, nice. I want to ask you, is there anything else, Claire, that you would like to say, excuse me, on your breastfeeding journey, on just breastfeeding in general, to speak to the women that may be listening, or do you feel complete?
Um, um, I want to say that I want to say that breastfeeding is important.
Mm.
It's important if it's important to you. Um, I did have another thought. Um, what do I want to say? Um, yeah, I wanted to, this is what I want to say. I wanted to say, you know, to like trust your baby and like listen to your baby
Mm-hmm.
and like lean into whatever it is that they're trying to communicate to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like if you just kind of like, yeah, you just listen to them and watch them and, you know, lean into like your own intuition um about, you know, what's happening and like what you want for the both of you. Like you can get you can breastfeed if that's
Mm-hmm.
something that you want to do. Like that's something that you can do better together. And
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, I have a breastfeeding podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to mention that.
Yeah.
And we talk about all different kinds of breastfeeding stories. So I go into detail about my breastfeeding story. I have a co-host and she talks about her breastfeeding story. And those are both um, unsuccessful breastfeeding journeys that we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But we also talk about successful breastfeeding journeys and like all and breastfeeding beyond like babyhood into toddlerhood, tandem breastfeeding, all of that. So if you want to learn more about breastfeeding, I feel like our podcast is a great resource for that.
Can you say the name?
It's at the Breast Podcast with
Nice.
Claire and Caitlin. That's the name of
Nice.
our podcast. And yeah, our goal with that is really like to provide a resource for mothers because I mean, I like personally for me, I really learn through listening to women's stories. And I think that that's like a great way to
Mm-hmm.
kind of teach because it's engaging and um but then there's also so much information in there. It's like
Yeah.
really easy to digest instead of just like reading a book, reading like
Yeah.
maybe a book that might be boring or just listening to IBCLC's talk. Like
Mm-hmm.
you get to listen to actual women and their experiences with their babies.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Mhm. And
Uh,
anecdotal stories, hearing the stories of mothers that have gone through it, I find personally so much better, so much more like I'd rather listen to a mother speak to her story of breastfeeding or her birth journey or whatever it may be, opposed to like going on the internet and trying to search up like what are the stats on this? What are the,
yeah.
evidence-based blah 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 for this and all that like that doesn't interest me at all. I want to hear the stories from real women that have gone through it, what they've done to remedy it, how great it was, how awful it was,
Mhm.
all of that. So, yeah, I'm really grateful that you have this podcast for women that want to delve deeper into the breastfeeding journey. So, I'll link that information below, excuse me, as
And
well.
if women feel that they want to come on the podcast, like reach out to us because I want more women of color on our podcast. We have
Perfect.
some, but we need more. So
Okay, perfect. Beautiful. Yeah, we'll definitely get that in there then. Anything else that you would like to say, or do you just want to share how women can reach out to you other than going to your podcast?
They can reach out to me. I'm on Instagram at the Primal Dyad. They can find me there. That's my page where I talk a lot about breastfeeding grief. And I'm just glad that I got a chance to come on and talk to you about
Yeah.
breastfeeding. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Claire. I'm glad that we had this conversation because it's so important and needs to be spoken to more. So I'm really, yeah, grateful that you got to share in here and I could hold this space for you. Thank you so much, women, for listening to this latest episode of the Free Birthing in Color movement. If you want to continue supporting this movement and all that comes with it, please give a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Like the videos on YouTube and share this episode with some of your friends. As reciprocity for the work that I'm doing and the content that I'm creating, it only takes 2 minutes to show your support through a 5-star rating, a small written review, and a share. If you want to give a monetary donation to help with the back-end costs of keeping everything that is happening within this movement going, you can send your donations through PayPal via the link in the show notes. And again, as reciprocity for the work that I'm doing and creating, I'm so grateful when those donations come through. All information can be found within the show notes below. I'll see you in the next episode.